The hardest part about going through things isn't even necessarily going through things, it's feeling like you're going through the things by yourself. So once I realized how good it felt to share what I was going through, even if I could help one person feel like, Kara knows my life, I'm going through the same thing, how does she know? And then that feeling of feeling less alone, it helps us get rid of our shame. It helps us get rid of our depression that's stewing and sitting in the house. I battled childhood depression really, really bad. I was just like crying for help, and the help wasn't being met with the energy that I needed at the time. So I decided to create the whole Kara J platform so I could just cry for help publicly.
Welcome back to another episode of Women of TmrO. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping on this video. Women of TmrO is a platform dedicated to the longevity and success of women worldwide. So before we get started, I want to make sure you subscribe, comment, like, and share after you watch this video. Kara J.
Hey.
To be exact. How are you?
I'm good. It is so nice to meet you and be here.
I know. Thank you. You have your beautiful white on.
Yes, I'm in my white year.
Is the white year?
It's the white year.
Okay, what does that mean?
So every year for my birthday, I choose a color to live out the 12 months in intention.
Wow.
And like I had a yellow year for happiness, and an orange year for spontaneity, a green year for growth, and we are now in the white year. So.
And what does the white represent?
So the white represents innocence, reclaiming my childhood, reclaiming life before life started life in. And it also represents purity and femininity. What I didn't know, that white is the balance of all colors. So all of the color years that I've done, it all comes into balance with the white year.
Got it. And when's your birthday?
August 19th.
So does that mean you're a Leo?
Leo.
Okay, so you've been wearing white since August?
Not only white,
Okay.
but I've been moving in a white way.
Okay.
Like everything I do has to be soft. I haven't had any arguments. I haven't had any aggression. I indulge in things that help me feel childlike. I've dove more into my feminine, soft side. So just pure and just dainty and, you know, getting nice and white.
Yeah, nice and white. I was in LA like a week ago, and I had started this, it was like a 7-day thing with this influencer chef, Queen of Green. And she was doing something where we had to, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like fasting, it was meditating, and we were like all doing it together. And one of the requirements was to wear white. And I didn't have all my white. I had a couple of white things. Because I found out about it after I was already traveling. So I did put on my white a couple of times, and I definitely felt very intentional.
Yes.
It's just like intentional when you decide to say, this is the color, this is what it means for me.
Colors have so much power, and it helps us move forward with intention. Because sometimes I'll pick a color without knowing what the intention is behind it.
Okay.
And then I'm like, okay, boom. Like when I did the green year,
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm going to go green. And then I found out what green meant during the year. Like green is the color of growth and healing, and my whole entire life changed.
Really?
Yeah.
So now just like, you're just very intentional about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that, because I used to wear black so much, because black, I felt like, being a fashion person, it's like, black is chic, black is timeless, black goes with everything. You know you're going to be able to wear it.
You know you're going to be able to find it.
Yes, but I just like, probably about a year ago, I'm like, I want to do color, and color makes me feel so much better. It just feels so much closer to like my spirit, my soul. So
I have a very colorful personality.
yeah. Okay. So let's get into it. I want to start with just like, I want to know where were you born? Where were you raised? What does that look like?
What was childhood like? So
Yeah.
I was born in New York City, Harlem, home of the Renaissance.
Yes.
I was raised in Harlem up until my teenage years. I wound up moving to Atlanta.
Okay, so you used to live here.
Yeah, I used to live in Atlanta in high school. And then after high school, I moved back to New York. And then a few years I did in New York, and then I went to California in my 20s. And after California, I went back to New York.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Houston when I turned 30.
So tell me this, what's what's home? What feels like home to you right now currently?
I I am in a extreme love triangle with New York and Houston. And it's so hard for me because New York is the place where I've always just moved back to and I've stayed and I've never removed to a city. But Houston, it just feels like my roots are supposed to be there.
Really?
So I struggle with, I go to New York and then I stay for a month and then I have to struggle to get back to Houston and then I don't see New York and then, you know, so it's very polyamorous with me, New York and Houston right now.
And so Houston, what makes it feel like, what made you fall in love with Houston?
My friends.
The people.
Yeah. I have great friends in Houston. I have great friends in New York as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have a tribe in Houston. I feel like people are looking for me when I'm not around in Houston. I feel like a week can't go past without somebody coming to knock on my door and say, I ain't seen you. Like, it's like I'm so looked for there.
Yeah.
Like I'm so meant to be there because my presence is felt when it's not there, like my absence.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like Houston calls to me, because the community that I have, like I belong, you know? So I love it.
Yeah. So you feel like you'll be there for a while.
Yeah, I give it 10 years.
10 years, okay.
Yeah, I have this incredible gift of foresight. Like, okay, boom, I'm gonna do 10 years in Houston. I've already done 3, and then after that, I'm gonna go to Arizona for 1 year. My next 20 years is already planned.
So when did you decide that like travel was, I guess, some form of just like who you are or your medicine or whatever?
I think from childhood, I went to over 10 schools. And in me going to so many schools, I never had a chance to get settled. So I never got stuck on the mindset of things are supposed to stay one way.
Same.
I think the benefit of always being the new person in school allows me to be the new person in any city I go to and just be comfortable with meeting new people and living new lives. And I always like to just bounce around a little bit.
Yeah. So do you find yourself itching when the time comes? You're like, I got to explore something else.
Yeah. So what I've been doing in Houston, since I do always get that itch, instead of me switching cities, I just switch apartments. Okay, I got to live in this neighborhood.
Okay.
I got to live here. I got to live there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm always moving around
I love
like that.
Because
Can't sit still.
it's inspiring, because for me, I'm kind of the same way, just like the way I grew up. I moved around a lot, and so there's something about I need to explore. Like, even if I'm not moving, I need to go away for a little while. I need to drive. I like to drive. I like to
walk.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a walker. Well, I'm a New Yorker, so I don't know how to drive yet.
You don't know how to drive. You still don't know how to drive.
I don't know how to drive.
But so what's happening in Houston? You're not driving.
No.
The community is taking you.
Hey, come pick me up. Well, I do live in a neighborhood where everything is walkable.
Okay.
And then my friends be like, it's not walkable. You just walk it. But you know, what's 3 miles? What's 5 miles?
No,
So
I'm the same way.
I love it. I love walking.
I'm the
It's like
same.
that's like my therapy outside of therapy. It's just going.
Clearing.
And I'll just spend hours a day just getting my Nike apps in my steps.
Oh, you do the app.
I love it. And I'll be
track
challenging
it.
myself. Yes, I'll be beating all the challenges.
I love that. So, okay. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm happy to be here.
I was new to finding out about you, and Candace showed me. I'm just like, ooh, like
She's so amazing.
the power that you represent, just speaking your truth and saying all the things that most of us are feeling. I'm just like, okay, I'm in love. I love it. And then to hear from Portia, she was like, Kira J? She's like, she's coming?
I'm here.
So tell me, I guess, I know it just didn't start with me. Like, how did the poetry, how did the writing, how did the self-expression in that way start? Like, what was the beginnings
catalyst.
of that?
So I think for me, I battled childhood depression really, really bad. And I know a huge part of that was just me suppressing my thoughts and my feelings. Like, I would write it in poetry, but I wouldn't talk about it enough to like my family. And I was just like crying for help. And the help wasn't being met with the energy that I needed at the time.
Yeah.
So I decided to create the whole Kira J platform so I could just cry for help publicly. So when I was going through things, I would just do a video and the video would go viral, or I would make a status on Facebook and then it would go viral, and then everybody just started relating to me. And then I realized that The hardest part about going through things isn't even necessarily going through things. It's feeling like you're going through the things by yourself. So once I realized how good it felt to share what I was going through, even if I could help one person feel like, Kara knows my life. I'm going through the same thing. How did she know? And then that feeling of feeling less alone, it helps us get rid of our shame. It helps us get rid of our depression, that stewing and sitting in the house. It all started, back in, well, it wasn't the beginning, but this was the early stages.
Okay.
Back in 2014, I had a miscarriage. And as a woman, we feel like our bodies are supposed to make babies. Why couldn't I make this baby? What happened to my body? I'm going through all of the emotions, right? I'm a failure. I couldn't keep my child alive. And then I started posting about it. I wrote a poem about it. I put it on Facebook. And then people started writing me back. And then I learned how common it is for women to have miscarriages. Now, it didn't necessarily subside the pain of losing that child, but it made me realize, oh, this is just something that kind of happens to so many women, but people don't talk about it like you do. So then I was like, well, I'm going to be the one that's going to talk about everything. Because I was sitting over here going crazy thinking like...
Stewing in your own thoughts.
Stewing in my own misery and my own pain and anguish. And then you get to talking to other women. They like, oh, I had 3 miscarriages. I had this. And I'm like, well, why aren't we saying anything?
Yeah, why did you feel like you were alone in
Why
this?
did you feel like you were alone? So it's like we go through these things and we feel like we're alone. Somebody has to connect the dots. And that's where I come in.
I love that so much. I really do, because that is the huge piece of, I believe, just like the depression and the shame and the fear. We think that we are in an isolated situation. We isolate ourselves. We alienate ourselves. And so we feel like we are a failure when so much of it is just life. It's just this experience that we're all going to kind of go through. But I want to ask about like the depression, like the childhood depression, because it's very, very common now, and it's been around. But how did you diagnose yourself as a child as depression, or is this something like reflective that you realize I was depressed, and what was that age?
I think I really learned about what it was, I want to say closer to like 20s. Okay. Because for a long time, I just kind of felt like weird. I just knew I was always sad, and I knew it was always something with me. And I even had a suicide attempt when I was only 14, and I couldn't understand why, I always just felt extremely disconnected from life. And even though I had people around me who love me, with depression, you cannot feel loved. So you feel just so alone and so defeated, and then you learn about it, and it's like, oh, like the information that we have now to like TikTok search what's going on with our emotions, back then it was just like, what is wrong with me?
You just felt, did you feel like, was it because you didn't get along with friends? You felt like you were so different from the friends?
No,
was it your parents?
I learned about depression because depression isn't circumstantial. Depression is even when everything in your life is going right, even when you got nice friends, even when there's love at home, it's something that feels wrong. So that's what it was for me. Like, I just always felt so, why am I feeling this heavy? Why am I feeling this way? And then I learned, like, baby, this is a chemical imbalance. Okay. You are not crazy. You are battling depression. So, I've just been getting treated with that in other ways, but I didn't really understand that until I was in my 20s. Even after a suicide attempt, even after juvenile delinquency and all of the things that I went through so young, I still didn't fully understand it until I learned, like, it's chemical, and there's nothing to circumstance your way out of that chemical. You just have to balance the chemical.
You have to balance the chemical.
You have to balance.
What do you do to balance the chemical? Is it medicine? Is it the therapy? Like, what?
Therapy helps for sure, but I have to get sunlight. If I stay inside for too long, because I'm an introvert, if I go too many days without getting sun, if I don't get grass, if I don't eat right, we're not taught how much our gut is tied into our mental health, right? So we're sitting there eating whatever we want, not knowing why we sad, angry, depressed, all of these things.
Feeding the emotions.
We're feeding the emotions. So once I learned how my vitamin deficiencies and my diet could all play a part, I have to detox. I have to get sunlight. I have to go in grass. I have to drink a lot of water. I have to get rest. Because, you know, New York is the city that never sleeps.
Yeah.
And then we running around insomniacs all the time, wondering why everybody is so depressed.
Yes.
It's like our bodies cannot function if we're not taking care of them. So once I just like, you know, you have to really research it to figure out what it is. Because again, even if everything is going right in your life, your money is good, your family is healthy, your friends are nice, you can still feel depressed if you're not taking care of the things that need to be the vessel. It's all the vessel.
It's all the vessel. It starts there. And I'm so glad you said that because, you know, I love New York. I can only do it for a little while, but I think that's because I wasn't born there, so I don't have like this love for New York. But I do love New York. I can only stay there for a while because I did grow up in the South and also like California. So I'm very used to hiking trails, sunshine, that kind of thing. And my mom the same way. So I just can't do the concrete jungle, baby.
It's very dangerous if you're not intentional with the city. So in my later years, I got super intentional with New York. I find bodies of water to sit next to and feel the earth. I find grass. You have to like find it because it ain't just like you just drive walking downtown and you can just stumble. You know what I mean? Like you have to, where are the parks? Where are the turtles? Where are the waters, the ducks? You're going to find me in New York sitting in a park with some ducks and some turtles just getting grounded. You have to be intentional with New York. It's a great place to live if you know how to do it. Because if you know how to do it, if you muscling, bustling with that concrete, you're going to be so disconnected.
So disconnected. But that's a great message. And I'm also, when I initially was like the chemical, because I feel like when people think chemical, they think, you know, biology, and then they think science, and they think pharmaceuticals. Like it's like this chain reaction.
They don't even realize the dose. And I tell people about dose is your happy chemicals. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Those are your happiness chemicals. You have to do things daily to unlock the happy chemicals. I have a list on my phone that every day I got to check off something from one of the four so that each of my happy chemicals can get unlocked. These are the chemicals that are in our brain to make us happy. And we wonder why we don't feel happy because we don't feed our happiness chemicals or we feed them in the wrong way.
You feed them in the wrong
because
way.
Because you can get dopamine from the wrong things.
From the wrong thing all
day, you can get endorphins from the wrong things. You can get all of these happy chemicals activated from things that are unhealthy for you. So you want to make sure that you're feeding your happiness chemicals in the healthiest way possible.
In the healthiest way. And so you basically were saying, I need my sunshine. I need my rest.
Sunshine. And that's why I moved to Texas.
Yeah.
I did. I moved there in September because I had been talking about it with my friends for a while. I had visited a couple times and I was like, okay, this is cool, but I didn't know anybody in Texas. I have a daughter. I can't just up and leave.
Right.
And then September rolled around and New York got gloomy. Like we get seasonal depression real bad. The sky turns gray come September, October. And I was just like, I'm not gonna make it another year like this. I gotta go. I came to Texas and it's been different ever since. Like my mental health has been on an incline since I get that sun. It's so powerful.
And your daughter, how old is your daughter?
She's 8.
She's 8. I thought I saw her in her afro.
Oh yeah, she's an afro girl. She's such an afro girl. That video, she had her little wig on. She's
that was
like,
a wig.
My afro.
She was like, it's puffy, it's fluffy. She loved it. She looks so cute. So how is the move affected her? Is she happier? Have you noticed? Like,
I think she goes back and forth.
Okay.
Because she loves her life in Texas. She loves her school. She loves her friend, but she misses her family. So I always want to be mindful to make sure that either we're going home frequently or family is coming to us frequently.
Okay.
And I always explain to her that the best thing that you can give for your child is a happy mother. And mommy cannot properly raise you in New York.
Yeah.
So I had a depressive episode last winter and I did have to wind up moving home. And I spoke about it with her and I said, baby, we're going to move home for a little while. And she was just so excited. She was like, I don't even care, mama. We're going to be in New York for a couple months. And we went and we did New York for last winter. And then we got back to Texas and we were both just so happier for it. But because I'm so transparent with her, the same way I am with the world, she was angry at first about the move. And I was like, what you want me to do? You're going to have to be mad because mommy is not going to make it here.
Yeah.
My mental health is not working right now. I need to go to some sunlight. And it was a process.
That you bring that up. This wasn't even on my list, but I do want to ask about this because I feel like this is an important, like the the mommy daughter or even just parent child relationship, and how there's like some people are like, stop trying to be your child's best friend and be their mother, and then at the same time being their mother doesn't being their mother and not also being a human, a friend to them, it leaves them kind of in the dark about a lot of things that you might be going through as a mother, and they might have some type of understanding of that if you explain it, and then it helps them to establish who they are in a real way versus like guessing what's going on.
I think that there's a certain amount of innocence that we need to protect with our kids, but there's a certain amount of transparency we need to share with them as well. So I had to find the balance between letting her enjoy her youth and stay innocent, but also letting her know what was going on that I could not hide. Because if I don't tell you what's happening and mommy is having these depressive episodes, then you might start internalizing that and thinking that's about you. You might start growing up thinking that this is just what happens with life. So I have to make you aware of things so you don't have to question them or try to come up with what's going on in your own mind. I don't want you to think like you've done anything. I don't want you to think like because I have these mental health challenges, I would rather you know all about it so you could know how to better care for me, and you could know how I could better care for you as well. And then also the concept of be their parent, not their best friend. As someone who grew up with childhood depression, I always felt like had I had a parent who was my best friend, then I would have been able to talk about it more. Because parents most times think of discipline as the top of the list of how to handle their children. Are those grades good? Are they staying in check? And all of the things. At the top of my list on parenting is all mental health. It's all mental health. If I see a failing grade, I'm not going to instantly go to, I'm going to get on your ass and I'm going to take this away. I'm going to get on, are you okay?
Yeah.
What's going on? Why are you detached from your work right now? Especially if I know my child is smart, because that's kind of what happened throughout my childhood. I was always salutatorian. I was always straight A's. But then when I started flunking out, instead of those questions being asked, it was just kind of like, you're in trouble. And it's like, no, ask me what's wrong, you know? So I always, now that I'm a mom, I get to like reparent myself, if that makes sense. It's like my second chance to love little Kira in that way, to be patient with her. And she takes a lot of patience.
It's therapeutic for you.
It's so therapeutic.
To like almost like, I'm gonna do it right this time.
I'm gonna do it right this time. And all of the things, like I love our relationship. A lot of people don't like me and my daughter's relationship, right? People feel like I have been told.
From social media or like?
Oh, just social media, personal life. Some people be like, y'all, oh yeah, because I could never let my, you know what I mean? Like, me and my daughter are like this. And I'm like, childhood is this big. Life is this big.
Wow.
I'm nurturing our relationship for the rest of my life. And I don't want to, I'm never going to make you feel like you're my equal because you ate. But I'm never going to make you feel like you're not human because you're a child. So I had to find the balance of allowing her to have a voice in a respectful way, but knowing that nobody can silence you, not even me. So she's so outspoken. She's so outspoken.
I mean, you are preparing her for the future of this, of where we're at right now. And children are absolutely leaders. They're angels. We can learn so much from them.
And then you see the healthiest women, specifically Black women, have amazing relationships with their moms. And the ones who go through the most in life are the ones that felt like their moms were jealous or their moms were this and that. It's like, me, my mom, and my daughter were all Leos. So we have like a little synergy. Like we kind of just all get each other. So the relationship that I have with my mom, I kind of want to make sure that I pass that on to my baby as well. Like me and my mom's relationship, obviously, as we got older. It's so much better. As a child, it wasn't the greatest. But me and my daughter, I was like, from birth, we gonna be locked in. Like,
I love that. I didn't even realize so much. My mom's a child psychiatrist, so she's shared a lot with me. But even in doing this work, like meeting with women like you, and it's always like I'm interviewing you guys, but I'm actually like learning, teach me, and bonding. You know, being in the presence and then hearing the wisdom, and then just learning and feel like, once again, it helps me to feel not alone. So I love the idea of the best friend.
That's my best friend.
And so I'll ask one more question about this. What is the thin line between where you're like, I'm sharing too much versus she needs to know this? Like, is there some type of measure that you can kind of recognize when you're going through stuff?
Anything that can affect her life should be shared with her. Even if it's the guys that I'm dating, even if it's our financial situation. I should not try to keep you into the dark of things that can affect your life. Now, if I can completely handle it where you don't have to see it, feel it, think it, you don't got to know nothing that's going on.
Got it.
But anything that you might have to experience as well, we need to be able to talk about it.
Got it.
And the thin line comes with the things that I'm allowing you to know for you to know it versus the things that I'm allowing you to have input on.
Okay.
Because some things I'm just telling you so you can know what's going on. And then some things I'm like, baby, what do you think about this? You don't always get the input, but even if you don't have an input or a say, I'm going to allow you to know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave you in the dark. Even if I'm going to make the decision at the end of the day, you're still going to be able to know what's happening, what's taking place.
Yeah, and I love that because that's going to set her up to know that that's what's required in relationships moving forward. I need the opportunity to know what's going on. I don't need to be left in the dark whether or not I'm making the final decision or not.
Exactly.
So she can have that self-identity when it comes to other relationships. I love that. I love that.
My baby.
Your book, Naked.
Yes.
Was that your first?
My first book.
And how old were you when you did that?
I started it at about 12.
Wow.
So in each chapter, it shows a year from how old I was when I was writing it. And I finished it at like my last year of my teens, but I started it at like 12. So it just goes from 2006, just all of those years up. I titled it Naked because of the vulnerability. I wanted to be completely and emotionally exposed for the whole world to see. I wanted to just bare my soul and be naked with my energy and just not have to hide anything. So it was a poetic play on words of just be naked. Naked started all of this. Just share it all.
Yeah.
Just pour it all out. Nobody has to hide any, just
nothing all hiding.
Nothing.
How did you, I want to say how did you, it was important for you, like you were at a time in your life, it was just important for you to shed it all and to start fresh? Was it like, this is a fresh start for me?
Naked was, for me, it was a release. I don't think I had the fresh start until Breaking Point.
Okay.
Breaking Point is like, boom, I'm breaking out of this.
Okay.
But Naked was the release because it's like, if I write this down, but I don't give this away, then I hold on to it. And the way I treat my books is the minute it is released to the world, then I no longer carry any of it. Whether it's a poem, an essay, a quote, if I share it, it doesn't belong to me anymore. It's gone into the ether. It's done what it needs to do, right?
Yeah.
So Naked wasn't like a new beginning because I was still a child when I wrote it, but it was just like, this is what I have to get off my chest.
Wow.
And somebody might need to hear it. Because mind you, I published it before I had a platform.
Yeah.
I published it before anybody knew who Kara J was. My first book signing, all my friends and family had to put on shirts with my face on it. And, hey, check out this author, Kara J.
Wow.
We went to the Circle of Sisters at Jacob Javits to try to get people to buy it. Nobody knew who I was when I put out Naked. And I was like, I don't have time to build the platform. I just need to get this out.
Yeah.
And I got it out before the platform came. And then by the time I published my second book, I was already kind of established with who I am.
So what happened after Naked? After you released it, after people learned about it, read about it, what was the reaction? And how did that change you?
I don't think I fully dove into how I was supposed to because I was so young.
Yeah.
I kind of just put it out. I did one book signing and I didn't have the money to do book parties and touring and all of these things. So it wasn't until 2015, a few years later, that I started recording videos of my poetry online. And then once I started recording the videos of me doing the poem, then people kind of went back to find out, who is this girl?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, she has a book.
Yeah.
It was like a catching fire of Naked happened.
All the work that I was...
And then nothing happened. And then some years went past and then everything took off. It was kind of like that. So when Naked didn't really change anything for me financially or professionally, it was when I decided to take the poetry from the page to the phone.
And
then it went to the world. My first video that I ever posted got 3 million views on the first day.
Shut up.
And that's crazy in 2024.
Yeah.
This is back in 2015, like 10 years ago, you know? So, yeah.
Wow.
I love
it. And so for women, just a side note, like for women who are, because you turned it into like a platform, a career, like this is your full-time thing. Did you have a plan, or were you just heart-led with, I guess, the release? And then obviously the release was just like, it was a release, the first. And then you decided to take it to video content. What was happening in your mind in that moment?
I was going through a breakup. And I was like, somebody else is feeling this. Somebody has to hear this. And I wanted him to see it, and I wanted him to feel it. And initially I wanted him to glow up. I wanted to get so successful that he had to want to do right by me. You're doing all of the things for the wrong reasons, right? And then I realized, like, imagine what happens when you do things for the love. And you stop doing things for the people who don't believe in you. And you stop doing the things to prove somebody wrong. If you just start living for the love of the people who are saying, I see you, I feel you, I hear you. Once I entered into that space, my mindset was, I could really help so many people. Like all of those days that I felt alone, I could make somebody not feel that. Like there's hundreds of thousands of women who are like, Kara, you helped me. And I'm like, that's all I wanted to do.
That's all you wanted to do.
Because I could have just kept my poetry to myself. I could keep my words to myself. I could stop interviewing. I could stop performing. I could stop writing books. But then there's somebody that's not getting that help. So in my mind, it's always, somebody needs this. This is bigger than me. I have those conversations with God because my passion is carpentry. Is
it?
I went to do construction.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. But do you do construction?
I used to. So when I had lost my Instagram at 200,000 followers on the day I turned 30, I said, okay, this is time. This is time to give the platform away. I've done it for 10 years. I get to go and be Mrs. Fix-It. I want to be Bob the Builder. I started researching those carpentry schools and looking to get my OSHA and doing all of the things that I want to do. And then God sat me down and we have these conversations. He was like, let me ask you a question. Do you think I gave you the gift of articulation for you to put up sheetrock?
No.
And I was like, I mean, no, but, and he was like, if you trust me, then you have to know that there's a time I'm going to allow you to do what you want to do.
Okay.
But I have a mission for you that is so much bigger than you. Even when you don't want to, this is what your calling is. So it became less of a hobby and more of a mission and a calling, and I have to be obedient. God said, say this. Some of my poems are downloads. Some of them I don't even like think about, like, oh, I'm gonna say this next. I'll be sleeping and I'll get woken up like, write this down, and then I'll wake up and it just all comes to me.
But that's what it is. That's what comes across to people. And I believe that's why you're so, you resonate with so many, because it's definitely coming from the source.
The source.
The source itself.
I take no responsibility for it.
Yeah.
I give all the credit back to God all the time.
Do you feel gratitude to be in your purpose?
For sure. I feel gratitude from knowing very young as well, because a lot of people go through life trying to find what their calling is and what they're called to do. I've been doing poetry since I was 9. Since I was 9 years old, I've known, Kara, you are meant to be on stage with a microphone doing poems. And I would tell people, what do you want to be when you grow up? A poet? Well, poetry isn't a job. You know that you can be a professor who does poetry. You can be a teacher. There was always have to be a hyphenate with poetry. Then when I was telling people, I want to do poetry full time, they would look at me and say, that's not a thing, Kara. No successful poets even do it full time. All the poets we know are teachers and professors, and they have to do something else for the money. And I said, I have a feeling I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna do poetry. And then when people ask, what do you do today, Kara? Poetry. I write poems for a living.
Good. That feels good.
It does.
That feels good. Because I was thinking, even on the way, I'm listening to I was listening to the Kendrick Lamar album, but just kind of just like, I know, right? It's just like when I listen to it, he's no longer a rapper to me. It's a source. It's a message.
He feels like a vessel.
Yeah, it's a vessel for sure. And so I'm thinking about just like growing up, how I did not spoken word poetry, even though I'm a writer just naturally. I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, that's, I just didn't, it wasn't popular.
Exactly.
And so we get so caught up on what's popular or either what is glamorized in our society, which makes it popular. And we miss out on the juice and the juiciness of life. And now I'm like, I love all that. I love spoken word, poetry. Give me a podcast. Give me everything.
All of it. Things aren't popular until someone comes along and trailblazes it to the point where you have to talk about it. So my ultimate goal is for 5 years from now, everybody to be able to name their top 10 favorite poets. Mm-hmm. Because if you ask someone, who's your top 5 favorite designers? They going Gucci, Louis, Chanel, Prada. Who's your top 5 favorite singers, actors, rappers, athletes, models? Everything in a creative space can be named. But when you ask the average person, who are your top 5 favorite poets? They're going to be like, I don't know. They start naming people we learned about in high school. And I'm like, every day there's movers and shakers among you that you ain't heard of because you're not tapped in.
You're not tapped in.
If I do nothing else, I put on for my name, but I do everything for my genre. You say Kara J, then you immediately think the poetry girl. She does the poems. So I'm just trying to push the genre forward and keep us in the conversation.
You absolutely are.
Thank you.
Tell me about, you were just saying about you have conversations with God and you've known since a young age. How, I'm speaking for me, and I'm getting a lot better with this, but for the average person or for the person that is like really just like participating in the box of the world, how would you suggest that they learn how to even hear the word of God, or develop that connection to be able to have that kind of like day-to-day, moment-to-moment, ongoing conversation?
I don't know how healthy this may be for some people, but I don't believe that you can fully connect with God if you don't fast. I frequently fast. I was raised in Islam. So Kara J is just short for Shakira Jalea. My dad is Muslim. So I was raised doing Ramadan, and I was raised to honor God in that day where you pray and you fast and you give back, right? So whenever I'm trying to connect to God, or if I'm too present in the physical world and I'm trying to tap back into my spirituality, I have to fast. I have to just drink water and let my body not be focused on digesting, so I can go to that next level of connection.
Got it.
And when I'm fasting, that word is so clear, like, okay, I hear you. Like, and then everybody's relationship with God is personal. So a lot of people know how to talk to God, but they don't know how to listen. So that's why I'm saying, if you fast, you can hear.
It's you just
gotta hear.
Empty out your vessel with the clutter.
Declutter your mind. Do a detox. Give up social media for a while. Give up sex for a while. Give up drinking for a while. Give up eating for a while. That's the hard part. But if you fast, it's so much clarity in it. And every time I fast, I get a clear word for how to move forward. Now, it's not even so much that God don't give people word. It's that, are you going to be obedient to the word you were given? So my connection with God is so strong because I'm extremely obedient.
Okay.
So whenever I'm told to do something, I don't need to know how, why, when. I don't need to know what the plan is. I just need to know this was what I was called to do. I'm going to do it. And I'll find out later why. So that's another part of getting a connection with God is, he ain't going to keep talking to you all the time if you ain't listening when you say this stuff. So be obedient. When you have a calling, that intuition, it be God's voice trying to lead you in a direction sometimes.
That makes so much sense, really, about the decluttering. You got to get the noise out from inside you, from your ears, your brain, your heart, all that stuff, so that you can even know what's being said.
Got to be able to hear.
When you write your books, your poems, how do you decide upon, I guess, what to share? Because I know it hasn't always you always had the personality of like, I'm gonna put it out there, I don't care, or going through different phases in your life or different time eras in your life when you're like, I'm a little bit more sensitive now, and you have to like really pull at yourself to share.
I think my vulnerability is my superpower because I have no shame. I don't have the embarrassment to say I can't say this.
Okay.
I'm the person that will record my apartment messy and say, hey, I was having a bad mental health week. Come with me and clean up. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm that person. Like, I believe, like, because I believe that I'm on a mission to make other men and women feel less alone, then I can't be prideful to not share. Because who am I to say, keep this for yourself because you embarrassed and it might help 50,000 people.
that's so true.
But I also understand that everybody is not on that mission.
Yeah.
So when people ask me, like, how do I come to a space of sharing more like you do? I ask them, do you feel comfortable sharing? And if you say no, then it's not meant for you to share. I share because it's comfortable for me. I share because it is natural for me. But if you are the type of person that is more private, then don't try to force yourself to tell all your business. Save some of you for yourself. Some of your life might not be for social media like mine is. Some of your life might not be for your friends. Some of your life might not be for a timeline.
Yeah.
Everybody can't be vulnerable. Everybody can't be a voice. I say what I'm going through publicly. You utilize what I'm going through publicly. Take it to your private life and deal with it from there.
What can you say comes with that? Because I get what you're saying. Sometimes you're just not comfortable, or maybe sometimes you do need to just kind of be guided into, like, you have a calling to share, but you're just maybe too insecure. And maybe that can be resolved, like that insecurity, and then you get to a point where, like, okay, I can share. But what has come with the sharing that you think most people might not be able to handle?
It's not very good for relationships, personal relationships, romantically speaking, because I believe that the connection with a man and a woman is so personal that most people don't want to sign up to have their relationship woes part of content or part of conversation or just part of dialogue. A lot of people are private and feel like what goes on in our house is our business. I don't want to be a part of a platform. I want to experience you in real life without being turned into a thread or a think piece or a podcast episode, Kira. So I think that has been the biggest thing for me that is the negative, because my relationships haven't worked out. Men don't want to be the guy that is talked about. So I know that I have learned how to talk about relationships in a general sense now, without speaking about what's going on in my personal life.
Got it.
Yeah.
And is that still kind of challenging?
Not anymore, because I just did a whole year of celibacy.
Okay.
To, like, fully detach myself from men altogether.
Got it.
And I think moving forward, when I am dating, I'm going to want to share that with my friends.
Yeah.
I'm in therapy now. I'm going to want to share that with my therapist. I'm not going to want to run to Instagram Live and say, okay, guys, I just got off a date. Let me tell you how it went. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm getting older. I'm 30-something now. Y'all find out what's going on in these poems. Y'all don't need me to tell y'all everything that's happening as it's happening. And I think that has been the hardest part of being so public, is being so public kind of messes up your private relationships. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Got it. I know a lot of people, we're social media, like, couple brands are so popular. Like, when you do share, oh, me and my hubby doing this, or me and my girl doing this, like, people really gravitate. They really are ready to fall in love with a relationship.
Right.
And some people make it and some people don't.
I think that the reason why those relationships work is they show you their highlights. And the reason why I wouldn't work with someone like a Kara J is I'm gonna show you the highlights, the lowlights, the blooper reel. I'm gonna tell you how we was just arguing. I'm gonna tell you how this and that was taking place. And then some people it doesn't work with because they want to keep what's going on in the house at home. But if I'm telling the timeline how you had me messed up yesterday, and then it just doesn't work out unless the man and the woman are both platformed.
Both platformed, okay.
And so I just tend to be attracted to men who don't even like social media.
Okay.
So that's where it's like, ugh.
So you're learning.
I'm learning.
You're going through the process.
Going through
and you're basically, how are you preparing yourself for those kind of shifts if you do need to change your MO when it comes to your brand, selling your products, selling your books, your poems? Like,
So the entire last year, I haven't talked about relationships because I haven't been in one.
Okay.
I haven't been on a date. I haven't had sex. I haven't done any of the things. So I've still been growing my audience by talking about my mental health.
Okay.
By talking about life, by talking about finances and motherhoods. I'm giving people all the other areas of me.
Got it.
While not even having to mention my love life because I don't have
I love
one.
that. No, but I
don't
love
have
that.
one right now. That when it does come, nobody's going to be expecting for the tea.
Because you've taken the time.
Because I've taken so much time off. They like, Kara ass ain't been with nobody in so long.
And you still dropping jewels.
Still dropping jewels. And she's still talking about real stuff. I'm teaching women how to grow and evolve into new versions of themselves. I say each of my books have a mission, and my latest book is to send people to therapy. So that's all we've been talking about is healing.
Got
we ain't
it.
even been talking about love and relationships. So I don't even think my audience is expecting
Okay.
it from me. They kind of just ready to see me happy. Girl, you done been through so much.
That's so funny. I did see you. I think I saw a couple of clips. You were on some podcast. It was a group of you guys.
Oh, Tonight's Conversation.
Tonight's Conversation. And that podcast is so popular. And it's popular because I'm assuming it's just the relationship game, right?
Yep.
Like, and everyone is just in it, out
Millions
of it,
of followers.
figuring it.
It's a huge thing.
How was it? Because I see some of that, some of the dialogue, and especially with some of the guys, I'm like, how do you, because you always are so articulate and you always keep your train of thought going. You don't let anything like keep you from the words that you have. Is that God talking with you through that?
Absolutely.
Is that
and I have this tattoo called Be Present, so I'm always right where I am at the time. Like nothing can shift me or distract me. I'm always like, okay, this is what I was about to say. I don't know what you chatting about.
Okay. Yeah.
And also, the creator of that podcast, Ace Metaphor, me and him are friends.
Got it.
So he had been asking me for years, like, Kara, you have to come do the show. You have to come do the show. And energetically, I was just like, nah, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro. I can't make it. He'd been asking me for like the last 2 years, but this season he decided to shift the influencers.
Okay.
So there was like, 1 to 2 people looking for their viral moment, but for the most part,
Yeah.
the people he had on this season, we talking about therapists, counselors, life coach, business owners, powerful voices that are in alignment with my energy,
Yeah.
that I don't have to feel like I'm fighting to say much.
Got it.
So that's what made the season super easy for me because of the people he chose. I feel
Okay. Yeah. He leveled it up.
he put everybody that was in that room for the most part.
Yeah.
Great conversationalists, great people, and it was very healing. Everybody that he had on that season was somebody involved in something healing.
Got
it wasn't no bullshit.
Not
Let's
just
come
someone
on in and
just
just
trying
chat.
to. Yeah.
It was like,
Give
I'm sitting
opinions.
across from a therapist, sitting next to a counselor, sitting next to somebody who does, like, it was just amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was a great experience. for
Great
you.
experience, minus 1 or 2 situations.
Yeah. So going back to, you said something about you not embarrassed. You not shamed. You will put it all out there. And one of the words that stood out with was ashamed. I saw that you spoke something about single mothers and how I guess I can't remember exactly what you said, but you were like, you come online every day and someone has an opinion about a single mother and you could be affected negatively by that, but you're not. How do you remain in your power knowing that don't mean nothing, and all that noise and all those people that are just regurgitating some stereotype that they've heard? How do you, I guess, fight back against that for yourself and for other women?
I think that I'm at the point in my life where I'm so tapped in that I can immediately see what someone is projecting on me. And I no longer look at people and think that you're saying something to me. I'm looking in your eyes and I'm seeing your personal pain. So once you start seeing people's pain, then my ego ain't even telling me to defend myself. My spirit is asking me to ask you, how do we help you heal out of this feeling of even wanting to say that thing to me? I'm at the point in my life now where people say negative things to me. I'm gonna ask you if you're okay. Cause I didn't do nothing to you. So what feelings is in your gut right now that's making you want to be this nasty to me, which is making you want to be this negative to me? I don't have none of that in my heart. So yeah, I'm just trying to trying to figure out what's causing you this much pain that you want to put me through some pain. What's going on in your life that you want me to be upset about? Because I'm happy over here. I'm so happy right now. So something in your spirit is calling you to want to take my happiness from me. And let's get to the bottom of that. So when people start to project you're worthless, you're a single mother, you're this and you're that, and I'm just like, is that how you felt about your own mom?
Yeah.
Is that how you felt growing up? Is that how you feel rejected by the women that you wanted that you probably couldn't get because they had a child with someone else? It's never about me because you don't know me for real. So what is this really about? And when you take yourself out of other people's equations, you're able to assess people so much better. I take myself out of everything. Even in my personal life where people do things that I know I did not warrant, I'm just like, how did we get here? What led us to this space? What's really going on in your life? You know, that's what helps me with the logging on every day, as well as believing in God. And God, you know, says, Kara, you're doing amazing, sweetie.
Yeah.
It's nothing nobody else can tell me.
That is too funny. Portia has some good questions for you.
No worries.
As far as I think one good one was definitely the imposter syndrome that a lot of people, but I like to focus on women here because I just want it to be us, you know. Right. The imposter syndrome that I spoke about this before, but a lot of people are transitioning from the corporate structure, the 9 to 5, where they're working for someone else's, for someone else's interests, or just feeling like, you know, this is the only way, you know, like, and you from a child knowing that,
that ain't gonna work for me.
That's not gonna work for me. So now a lot of people, I guess it's because of the timeline that we're on now, they're seeing like, this is not gonna work. I've got to figure out what my gifts are versus just like my skills. And how do you talk people through this? Do they ever ask you, how do you keep that imposter syndrome from creeping in and taking over?
So when people ask me, I get this question a lot. How do you deal with the self-doubt? How do you deal with the believing that you're not supposed to be somewhere? And I explain to people that if you believe in God, you don't doubt his work. To believe in God is to know that he makes no mistakes and he created everybody in his image. This is my child. This is what I put you here to do. So every time that you say you're not good enough, you kind of being disrespectful to something that he created. And if you think of it that way, God put me on this mission. That means that I'm qualified. Who am I to question his plan? Your plan will never be bigger than God's plan. So whatever you believe that you can't do, you're questioning what he told you can do. I've given you all the capabilities. Even if you got to learn 1 or 2 things, you can do this. And I operate from that space to know God wouldn't put me in front of something that I could not do. If you believe in God, then you have to believe that you are capable of doing anything that God put a calling in you to achieve. It's so much disrespectful to say that I can't.
Yeah.
Because who are you to say that you can't do something? You basically telling God that what he made ain't shit. If you sit there and say, I can't do this and I'm not good enough, you're going to God and saying, you made a mistake with this thing that you made. I know it took you lifetimes to create all of these ancestors to meet each other. It takes millions of people to make one person and millions of sperm cells to rush to the one egg. Yeah. But I'm still telling you that it's not good enough. Ain't that crazy?
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
And when you think about it like that, it's absolutely crazy because
you're insane.
Because so many people are God-fearing and love God, but when it comes to the actual life application, day to day,
loving God is practice. A lot of people say they believe in God but don't trust God. So then they doubt God and they question God and they're not obedient. I believe that prayer and obedience have to be hand in hand. I'm so obedient, which allows me to maneuver through this world. Well, I will say I'm so obedient now. You can see the transition because who I was even 2-3 years ago, people going, every day they come up to me and say, Kira, I'm so proud of you because you changed so much. I was not walking in God's path for me. I was doing what I wanted to do. But when you follow your own calling and you don't involve God in your own calling, you're going to be getting called in a bunch of different directions. So that's the compass. the compass, follow God's way, and then everything is going to work out for you. There is to be no imposter syndrome when you realize you got God in your body.
When you have God in your
You
body.
got God in your body. So who do you think you're not?
Who do you think you're not? Now tell me, when it comes to religion and how God is so synonymous with religion, and then there's so many different religions, and because I know for me, my religion growing up, Seventh-day Adventist, it created a lot of, I would say, I guess, imposter syndrome.
Confusion.
Because it's just like, oh, don't do anything that's gonna take away glory from God. It's like, well, I'm God, so to speak.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever he put it, is, and so like I feel like a lot of people are trying to figure out like that when that God conversation comes up, it's like, I don't know if people understand what they're supposed to be looking for, what they're supposed to be listening for, what it's about.
I believe that, again, everybody's relationship with God is so personal that you have to go through a season of unlearning whatever you've been told about God to find out who he is in your life. Because what God says to me could be completely opposite what God says to you. He put us all on our own individual missions. I don't practice no religions. I'm spiritual. And I was raised Muslim. I went to Christian camps and Catholic schools. I'm very well versed of all of the books and the things and the teachings. But if it's not all leading you back to God, and then we know that God don't make no mistakes, right? So God put us on this planet, right? And what did God give us on this planet? Nature. As long as you get back to nature, you'll get back to God every single time. And then that's how people can dissolve some of this confusion. We're not meant to be boxed in. We're supposed to go back to the natural order of things. Even when it comes to like feeling like the workplace things are out of structure, it's because we was meant to be in villages. We was never meant to be in cities and all this other shit.
Yeah, the smart cities.
Exactly.
That aren't smart.
So we're all struggling because we're trying to transition back to the way God intended things to be. Okay. And we're getting closer.
We're getting closer.
We're doing retreats and stuff now.
Yes.
We're making sure we're going into forests now. We're taking time off and sitting in grass and talking to trees now. It's intentional healing.
It is very intentional.
Getting back to nature.
Getting back to nature. I love that. The intelligence of it all is in nature. Something I was just about to ask you. So it feels like it's two things. The God part. I was talking with a friend, and it was right after the election, and a lot of people that I follow had just had like really sad posts about, oh, this is a sad day. And for me, I'm just like, not a sad day for me. Like, I'm
not even a little.
I'm very much so in my, like, I'm okay. Like, I'm just sorry. I'm just okay. And we had a couple of we had a couple of like back and forth on DMs, and she was just like, yeah, like the only thing about God is just like I pray, but like why does how can we trust God if he's letting people die over here and letting people have war here and things like that? And I was stumped because I'm like, well, I don't know why. I guess my understanding of how that works, I don't get it, but possibly like, okay, what do you think about that? Like, how do you view that when someone says, well, God let this happen? And,
right. I believe that the first thing God gave humans after he gave us life gave us free will. So God does not control things. He sets a plan in place. If you follow the plan, then everything is as it should be. And if you don't follow the plan, then we have the earth that we're living with. I don't believe in the saying that God favors me, because I believe that God wouldn't create one human being and give favor to another. He loves everybody that he created equally. But I believe that in that free will, certain people have deviated and taken advantage of it. And certain people are not living in a part of God's plan. So God has the plan. Hey, I've given you guys the planet. I've given you guys the blueprint. I've given you guys the way of life. I'm not going to reach in and shake it up again. But hey, you guys know what you're supposed to be doing. So I don't think that is God responsible for all of the messed up things that go on. That is us. That is human beings and our free will. We know what we're supposed to be doing. We know what we're not supposed to be doing. It's a lot of people that's not following God's way.
It is true.
So
it's true. And unfortunately, innocent children get caught up in that, and then they have to live their life either trying to free themselves from that, get back on the right track. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
That definitely makes sense, where it's just like we all have a soul and we all have free will.
Free will.
And just like in some families, like my mom, it was 12 of them, and only 2 of them like went to college and got out of like, you know, the gang violence and stuff like that. So yeah, like we all have a choice. And that, I guess, that's just what life is about, seeing the path that we all choose.
Yes.
Do you have creative blocks?
Of course.
How do you handle your creative blocks?
I accept them and don't try to push past them.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer in everything happening for a reason. So in the past, I would get a creative block and try to refine inspiration. Okay, what am I supposed to be doing? How can I find the love for writing? How do I get back to the pen? But then in this present space of my life, I'm realizing that some of those moments are just meant for you to be still.
Be still.
Sometimes you are not meant to be in creation. Sometimes you are meant to be in existence. So when I do have a creative block now, I'm like, let's go to the park.
Yeah.
Let's sit and let's just connect and be present and just live a little. You're not meant to be giving away your creativity all the time, because in order to create, you have to live something to create. So those creative blocks can come when you ain't doing enough living. What you making? What are you creating?
You haven't been inspired.
You have nothing to create about. Go live life and get some inspiration. Go live life and find something beautiful enough that you want to paint. Live something heavy enough that you want to write.
Yeah.
See something amazing enough that you want to film. But if you don't go and live, then what are you creating?
Oh, I love that so much. Life is meant to be lived.
Live it and then create from your lived experiences. So many people try to push past a creative block, and I'm like, when was your last vacation?
Yeah.
When was the last time you meditated? When the last time you went to the park to play? Do you have a coloring book?
Yeah.
When is the last time you watched a Goofy movie in Pokemon? Like, you have to go live a little to have things to create. And again, like I said, I stopped dating, so I haven't had the inspiration to write love poems, but I've lived a life in other areas, mental health related, and I'm creating from that space. So sometimes it's also just transitioning what you're creating and not expecting it to look like what you want it to look like as well.
So that's another thing with the creative, with us as creatives. If you do have those creative blocks, save your last check so that you'll be able to, keep it moving while you have this downtime where it's not just all productivity in that same form. Like there's work in the rest. I think it's some book that I saw that there is work in resting. So it is a part of the process, but sometimes you don't get paid for that. So learning how to make it stretch in between those paid projects or those lump sums or those checks, because a lot of creatives are paid in that way.
Yes. I just took almost a year off. I had to, because I'm like, I can create from this space, but I don't want to just give all of this heaviness at once. So what I did when I took last year off, I was still writing, but I wasn't sharing it all in real time. I would go live and tell people like, hey, I wrote today, wellness check, I'm doing okay, but I'm not going to be doing any shows. I'm not going to be doing any appearances. I'm not going to be taking pictures and engaging with anyone until my energy is enough for me to share. Because you also can't pour from an empty cup. Yeah. Sometimes when we have those blocks, it's because our spirits feel heavy and we need to get refilled up in that way. So when I got out of that space, it's just been up ever since then.
Yeah. And you had to have, that's definitely a relationship with God to be able to not have fear in taking that break. Because there's so much fear, especially when things start going well, you got momentum, people are, myself included, you get afraid to stop. And you think that could possibly be ruining your career, your life, your platform, all that stuff. But you have to have that relationship with God.
That faith. That faith will carry you every time, because when I thought about what it's going to mean for my career to stop posting, God said, I made you who you are. You made yourself this public figure. I put the writing in you regardless. So whether you share it today or a year from now when you're ready, you don't exist for consumption. You exist for, your existence is enough.
And
And I believe that if you operate from the space that your existence is enough, then you won't be scared to pour into yourself in those ways. Because even though I believe that it is my mission to help people, I am enough on the days where I help no one. And on those days where I feel like I have nothing positive to say. I have nothing inspirational to share. I might need a word for someone to give me. That's the beauty of a platform, right? Because I'm so transparent with my timeline and my platform that I'll tell them, like, I know that y'all are used to me affirming y'all, but can I get some of that love? Can somebody come and pour into me? And it'll be like 100,000 people just telling me how I changed their life and telling me how my voice is needed, and take as much time as you need, Kara. We here when you get back.
Oh, I love that.
I don't have that much fear anymore, because I remember it was just like 2 weeks ago and I was scared of a decision that I didn't know how it was going to go. And I'm just like, God, I'm admitting this to nobody, but I'm just telling God, like, I am scared. Is the money going to match up? Is the opportunity going to match up? I'm just scared. I don't know what's going to happen. And God said, have I ever put you in a situation I didn't get you out of? Haven't I got you out of everything every single time? Then why are you afraid right now? Fear comes from lived experiences of experiencing something that you know you have to be afraid from, but I have saved you every time. So you have nothing to be afraid. You have nothing to be afraid of. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Later on that day, the thing that I was worried about worked itself out. And I was like, this is why I operate in the obedience that I do. It always works itself out.
I love that. Oh, dang. I had a question that was.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. That's me, like, trying to figure out why I be forgetting. I don't know if that's because I'm not present enough, but you were just talking about, what you were just saying.
I was fearful.
Yeah, writer's block, not getting writer's block. Oh, okay, yeah. So it made me think of all the things that you were saying. Made me think of when you said you were really fortunate to find your purpose early on, and that there's a lot of people that either never find their purpose or go into older age still seeking. And then when they do, sometimes people become a slave to what they found as their purpose. And they think that they start identifying solely in their self-worth with their purpose, even though the purpose is divine, right? We then humanize and become like, oh, now I'm nothing if I take a day off, I take a week off or a year off, as if the gift is more than, the
reward.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie Soul with Jamie Foxx?
Is Jamie Foxx in Soul? The animated?
He's the animated, yes.
Oh, wow.
So the movie, I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's one of
the
greatest movies I've ever seen. He goes through the whole film trying to become this successful musician. That is his whole purpose in life, is to be a musician. He wants to play on stage, and so he does it. And at the end of it, he's like, that's it? That was it? That was the feeling that I've been living my whole life to feel this right here? And the lady was like, I mean, yeah, that's we don't realize how we can lose ourselves in the search of a purpose as well as we can not finding our purpose. So there was another spirit that comes, a soul. So the soul comes down to earth, having never been to earth. Soul comes down to earth, and soul finds purpose in the wind blowing on their face. Soul finds purpose in eating pizza. Soul finds purpose in laughing in community.
Yeah.
And then soul is telling Jamie, like, you've been doing earth wrong, because all of this is what I'm experiencing, and this is what matters. So that's why I put so much emphasis on being present, because it's like, we are not our accomplishments and our accolades. We are our existence. The wind blowing when we wake up is what makes it that much more powerful. And also, speaking of so many people not finding what their purpose is in life, I believe that's because modern day society puts so much emphasis on people's purpose in life to be their own individual purpose. But what if your purpose in life was to help someone else in their purpose? What if your purpose in life wasn't to be a star, but it was to assist the star in helping them in their day-to-day stuff?
Yeah.
What if your purpose in life isn't to be the boss, but it's to help delegate and run things so that the boss can have a smooth company? That's a purpose as well. And there's so much ego involved in modern day society that we believe that if I'm not building something for myself, then it's not worth building.
If I'm not the Beyonce of the group.
If I'm not the Beyonce of the group. But sometimes it's better to be a part of something powerful than to be the one that is the power.
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable in positions of power. So whenever I work with people, I'm like, it has to be a partnership. I'm not comfortable necessarily telling you what to do.
Yeah.
But we can collab and we can work on something together. I love a good collaboration. I don't want to be the one that's responsible for saying, hey, this go, I'm very uncomfortable. I'm the baby of my family. It's just not in me.
Yeah.
But I find that a lot of people, their purpose is in how they assist. And that is just as strong of a purpose in creating something itself.
It absolutely
But we don't
is.
give praise to the assisters. We look at the movie and we're going, Denzel Washington is the star. We're going, this person is directing the movie. But there's somebody who wrote it. There's somebody who cast it. There's somebody who filmed it. There's somebody who got water for everybody on set.
The stylist who made it all look like
the costume, the makeup. None of the movie comes together without everybody in the room. And I believe that if more people start looking into how they can be a great assistant to someone who is pushing that purpose, then you will feel much more fulfilled. Because there's a lot of people like say purpose in 2024 is tied to fame. You could be living in your purpose as an entrepreneur and accidentally get famous because your company is doing good. You could be living in your purpose making jeans and then next thing you know you're a public figure and you're famous. So people shy away from thinking, oh, I can't find my purpose because I don't want fame, I don't want attention, I don't want followers. But you can live your purpose behind the scenes helping that person that has to be in front of them. So I just find so much beauty in that as well. I love watching people be fulfilled, watching how they can help others. That's a purpose. That is a purpose as well.
Purpose. It's such a purpose. And I have so much gratitude for like, none of this would be possible without every single person that walks through that door to help. You know, like I'm asking for advice. How can we do this? How can it be better? It just wouldn't be possible. It just wouldn't be possible. And I have so much gratitude in knowing after being so many years of trying and failing, trial and error. And then you see like, oh, it's the magic of the team. It's the magic of the community, the collaboration, even just like with your platform or my platform. It's like, who would it be if it wasn't the people that clicked follow?
All of it. One of my favorite words when it comes to that is synergy. Because synergy just means two things coming together and the sum of them being greater together than either of them could be on their own. So I have something great, you have something great. They're both great, but we put it together, it just becomes astronomical. And neither of us can get to that height until we get that synergy with each other. And it's just greater when we do it together. And there's so much passion in that synergy of purpose as well.
That's
I love watching people love what they do with no ego involved. Because not only can everybody not be the public figure, because it is not easy being the face of the brand. You're the first one getting attacked. You're the first one getting bashed. You're the first one getting all of the drama. But it's not easy to wake up every day and know that if it crumbles, it's your name on the line. There has to be someone that cares about you enough to say, how can I help? How can I assist? How can we make this better as a unit? And I don't even want the world to know my name. I just find joy in watching yours be screamed. That's a purpose on its own.
It really is. I love that. I have one more question I want to ask, and I'm taking it somewhere else, but we did talk about this, and you talked about your celibacy for 1 year. And are you ready to start tiptoeing out?
For sure.
You ready? Okay. I wanted to know, like, through your experience, your year off, what do you think is diabolical, the conversations that are happening between men and women and the expectations, and it just seems like, like it's just not. And this is just me looking, just browsing through not really digging and doing research.
Oh no, I can't be a part of this.
I'm just observing little things here and there. What do you think is I guess the first key to the mindset that we all need to have in 2024, 2025 to start getting on the right track on, I guess, a more mass level when it comes to relationship and family dynamic, when it comes to that partnership?
I was about to say it has to be partnership.
Okay.
People aren't partners anymore. Everybody's in relationships. Everybody's trying to win. Partners work together. And if we don't view our companions as our partners, then we don't want to help them win. We don't want to help them do better. We don't want to help them strive. So I believe that there has to be a mass amount of forgiveness that takes place, because in the Black community specifically, the men have done so wrong. The women have done so wrong. Everybody is just so angry at each other. And instead of us focusing on moving forward, we're stuck in this loop of who did what to who. You did this to me. You did this to me. You did that, so I did that. And then we keep going. And then it's like, okay, now what? We have to forgive each other in order to move on. Without forgiveness, there is no healing. There is no relationships with the people that you're mad at and the people that you hate and the people that you don't want to build with and the people that you don't want to have children with and marriage with, because we're so angry because of our past pain. So until we forgive, then we can't move forward with any of the love things. That's why the dialogue is the way it is, because people ain't forgiving their daddies for what they did. These men ain't forgiving their mamas for who they dated or whatever it is. Forgiveness at the forefront
and that's
of
all
everything.
they see in their person they're dating. They just see their mother's reflection or their father's reflection.
Exactly. Or their ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, ex-husband, ex-wife. We have to forgive. Forgiveness is the only way to a clean slate. I could not move forward in my love life until I wanted to heal my relationship with men, because I can speak on it because I took part of it. I was part of the problem. I was part of the fuck these men narrative. I was part of the let's hate them all brigade. I led the charge. My name used to be the professional male basher. I led the charge. So in me being accountable for throwing fuel on the fire that was lit, I just took myself out of the dating pool to do my own healing. And now that I'm getting back in it, I say, okay, I have to have the patience for the people who haven't done the work that I've done, for them to know that this is the only way forward. There is no forward without forgiveness, because you can't be mad at them forever. And if you choose to, you'll just be alone forever. We have to forgive each other. We have to forgive each other.
And on that note, thank you so much for being here. I want you to look in that camera and just tell everyone where they can find you, what you have coming up, anything that you want to share.
Okay, so you can follow me on Instagram at All Things Kara J, and on all of my platforms at I Am Kara J. My next show is actually this week at the Apollo Theater in Harlem in front of 1,500 people. I'm going to be doing some amazing poetry, so look out for that soon on your timelines.
Yes. Okay, guys, it's been amazing, right? I hope you loved this episode. Make sure that you share this with someone. Hit the like button. Leave a comment so we can know how you really felt. And subscribe. We will see you next time. Peace.